Welcome back to Chatt It Up Sports. Oh, gentlemen and ladies listening today, it is Georgia-Tennessee week. I don't know if the polls made it a top 15 matchup just because it looks better on the TVs, but game day is going to be in Knoxville. It's 2v2 today. Dogs, Vols. We got so much to talk about with the man, the myth himself, Caleb. But first, Joseph, hit that theme music. What's happening? What's up? We are all fired up. We got, first and foremost, one dog to start us out. He's got a great hat on. He's from 92.9 The Game. He has some great stories about the man to the far side over there. He is Caleb Johnson.
What's going on, guys?
How you doing, brother?
I'm good. That's look, I told you guys off camera, and I'll bring it up now that I figured I should be nice. I should wear the Chattanooga Lookouts hat because I am wearing a Georgia shirt underneath, but because got to represent. I got some championship gear I could have pulled out, but I decided I'll play nice. I'll wear the Lookouts gear, and we can have a very humble and fun conversation about this weekend's game.
You're a good man. You're a good man. Also, the best man on this podcast, the man wearing the Vols gear, freight superstar.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Whoa. What's up, brother? How you doing?
I said it.
You said it, so it must be true.
It's in the ether.
It's in the ether, man. It's good to be here. Good to see my dog Caleb, although he is just in the wrong colors. He's been in the wrong colors since 2006, but it's all right. It's all right. That's a great hat you got on, brother.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate you showing love.
I love going up to Chattanooga and catching a Lookouts game. Usually try to catch like one a year, so always happy to represent.
Yes, sir.
You're going to be in a new place next year, buddy. New place. Fancy
right.
stadium. Fancy stadium coming. And the other dog behind the camera. Yeah,
sorry.
Grown men barking. Welcome.
Caleb, listen, I think your shirt is incredible. So,
appreciate it.
And I also love the hat because the hat just happens to share a certain color scheme that's very near dear to my heart.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, go Dogs. It's a very big week on this podcast, and we're all going to play nice.
We're going to play nice-ish. We're going to play nice-ish.
Yeah, because it's not fun if we don't, take jabs.
Yeah. I'm going to take a jab at myself because last night I did some fun on-the-spot homework because my wife was wondering. She was like, so when is the last time that Tennessee beat Georgia? And I was like, well, let me tell you about it.
Yeah.
It was one of the greatest endings of all time in all of sports. I remember I lifted up my little niece above my head and just cheered her after the Hail Mary.
Yep.
We're cheering for flukes now. I didn't know we were cheering for flukes.
Oh,
wins win, baby. So we'll take that. Then I proceeded to tell her the scores of every year since. Not great, Bob. Not great. I did forget that I went to the 41-0 game.
Oh,
yeah. Me and my little brother found great tickets. I actually think we found them laying on the ground next to the frat house. I think that's where I started my trend in my later years. Yes, if you ever, with physical tickets nowadays being a lot less prevalent.
Yeah.
But back then, we were still in the physical ticket era.
Yeah.
You could just go next to the frat houses, wait till about game time. Let's give our guys a chance to go find their ticket and scramble. But if it's 2-3 minutes before game time, go look around the yard. I promise you'll find a pair of tickets. I promise. I've found 4-packs before. I have found many, many doubles. People just drop them. And I'm like, I guarantee it's one of those guys that's still in there trying to get some lady to come back with him, So it's like, they don't need us. So I'll scoop them up. I know that may sound terrible, but guess what? It worked for me.
I like never would have even considered that.
Yeah,
So,
that's like
honestly, kudos to you.
that's next level game knowledge, dude.
It really is, bro.
What master plan? Are you like a secret agent or something? You just didn't tell us.
I think I have. I think I'm really cheap, and I think there's ways to game the system.
Hang on. Don't give yourself some credit here. You're really
Innovatively cheap.
There we go.
Innovatively cheap, because there's certain ways whenever you go and you cheer for mediocre or subpar teams, there's always ways to find even better tickets. Like as a Hawks fan, I could play this, what I used to call the StubHub game. And this is shout out to my little brother. We would also go, like, you could wait 3 minutes outside the stadium, and I would get lower bowl tickets for $20.
Oh.
And we're like 15, 20 rows up. Sure, you might be in the corner, but lower bowl, bro. We didn't, it's like, it was great. And so we're like, well, dude, now we got money to go have a really, really good dinner. It's like, let's do that. So that was great. That's always the game. And so I feel like I've always found good ways to buy tickets, but I don't know if that's around anymore. Physical tickets being out. And then also just, we talked about it last week. There's the SEC run. We may never get into a game as a family of 4 or a family of 3 for under $900 now. I don't see it happen. I don't see it happen. So those are the little things, fellas.
Yeah, I think when I stop having access of getting a credential places, all of a sudden my interest in attending games is gonna go way down. Because
I didn't think about that for you.
Yeah, it's definitely like I've been spoiled straight up. Like I realize it, especially SEC championships. This past year, I got to cover a national championship, and Georgia wasn't involved, but it was in Atlanta, and so I had access and was getting paid to go work it. And I think, when that flips and it's like, oh, you need to go spend some money to do that sort of a thing. Yeah, that's all of a sudden when it's gonna be like, looks great on TV, looks really good at home on my couch.
Just buy another TV.
There we go. Yeah.
You don't even have to buy like the advances in television. You don't even have to buy like multi-view, man. You have multi-view now.
Yeah.
So like you can have 4 games, and if you got 2 TVs, 8 games, like all at the same time.
It's
it's literally just the at-home experience. Like compound that with the fact that you can like DoorDash food, and you don't have to fight people to get out of the stadium. You don't have to fight traffic. Like, I mean, we're talking about like 4 or 5 reasons deep that you could just be like, I'm gonna stay home.
Yep.
You mentioned DoorDash. That is an area where I think I like to feel like I'm better than others because I will not, unless like it is a must, just like I'm deathly ill or I can't get to a car to drive somewhere. I don't do the ordering food. Like I have decided if I am not willing to get in the car and go drive and get it, that it's just not worth it. And that's my own personal level of like I can feel a little bit better about myself because it's not many other ways. Just there's plenty of things for people to get on me, but the eating out, I just something about the surcharge and the delivery fees, it gets me every time that I'm like, nah, if I won't drive for it, I won't go.
It ain't worth it.
I respect that so much.
Brother, you are such a good man. You've been a good man since I met you because I, for one, will never, ever conform to that method of what you
I
described.
get it. Look, I got friends who, they've got subscriptions to Uber Eats, DoorDash, all of that.
Who would do that, man? To have a Uber, DoorDash? What?
Dog, I've seen too many Instagram stories on Malcolm Harris's page. And I'm like, I guarantee you he didn't go out and get that white box full of wings.
I was about to say the wings for you. You've never gone in person, have you?
I'll tell you. If I make some wings, I'll make some wings. But like if I need some chicken wings and I don't feel like cooking, that DoorDash is gonna get got. Easy. I have no shame in my game. I do have shame in the fact that we haven't beat Georgia since 2016, and I was there.
And it's like a fluke.
I was there. It was not a fluke, man. It was not a fluke. Let's talk about it. My man Riley Ridley caught that pass from Jacob Eason, who I thought was going to be an NFL franchise quarterback, with 13 seconds left on the clock. I remember I was in Athens, Georgia at this very moment, and I was with our good friend Andrew Porter. We were at Fuzzy's. I will never forget it. Shout out to AJ. And all of a sudden, people are in my face. People are barking, grown men barking in my face with no morals chase. And
Zero.
I was like, okay, cool. So we get the ball. Evan Berry returns the football to about the 35-yard line. There was a penalty, some stuff after the whistle. So we get it around 45. There was another play that ensued, and then it was Hail Mary time. Josh Dobbs from the 50 to Jawan Jennings. The Dobbs nail boot ensued, and I dined and dashed and did not pay for my food.
Oh.
And I just admitted that. I literally.
I don't think
limitations are gone, man. You're good.
Yeah.
Are they?
2016, dude.
Yeah. 8 years, right?
Oh, it's 8
Yeah.
years. I thought it was 10 years. That's what I was saying.
Well, I mean, he's still got some time, you know. It's
So if that bar is still
we don't edit. So you're
okay. Then I'm screwed.
No, it's out there.
I'm pretty sure I did not pay my bar tab that day.
Where were you at?
I was at Fuzzy's in Athens.
I don't think Fuzzy's in Athens is still open. So
Thank
I think
God. All right, bro. Yeah.
What if Fuzzy started just going back and collecting all this?
Bro,
all the
what
unpaid tabs?
What if we get a follow from Fuzzy's on Twitter? It's like, oh, they know.
They got us, dog.
Can I to Caleb's point, can I tell you why that was a fluke?
Please. Let's hear it.
Two reasons. Number one, that was Kirby Smart's first year as a head coach. Okay. He didn't exactly know what he was doing as a head coach. And I'll tell you why. You know who was back there in the end zone on coverage?
Who was that?
Lorenzo Carter's big ass was back there to knock that ball down. There's no chance in hell, dude. There's no way. There's no way that he would do that now. He would look at Lorenzo and be like, no, you're not going out there. You're not going to stand. Yeah. So you got Lorenzo Carter standing in the end zone, dog. Like, he would never do that now. That's two reasons why that was fluky. I have never also, in all my years of being a Georgia fan, I don't think I've ever went through like such a high-low roller coaster. Like, I've been through higher highs and lower lows, and I can give you both those examples. I'm sure you know what they are. But like just the short roller coaster of emotions, because like in college, we were at a pool party watching it on the big screen, which I'll never do again.
Never.
I'll never watch a Georgia game around that many people voluntarily ever again, because I don't know. I'm too zoned in. I want to know too much about what's happening. So we leave, and Georgia's losing. I get home, walk in, turn the TV on, see the Riley Ridley catch, lose my shit. Like running around the house, freaking out, get settled, come back, sit on the couch. Josh Dobbs, Jawan Jennings. Bingo. And I mean, I'm just deflated, dude.
It's
just
crushing.
Deflated. Because I think that was 2 years in a row.
Yeah. That was back to back.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was
the year got you 30s?
2015. That was
38, 31.
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about wins. Yeah.
Yeah. That was back to back.
I was about to say, because the reason why I didn't think that play was possible is I was like, look, the football gods already punished Georgia 2013 with the prayer Jordan Hare, like the Nick Marshall touchdown at the end. That I was like, this can't happen again. Like, of course, this sort of a thing is not possible. I had forgotten about Lorenzo Carter being back there, but I very much remember that being a thing at the time, especially with Sports Talk Radio, of just what was Kirby doing. Because this game went into people being like, I don't know about this guy, you know, like he ain't it, and worked out kind of nicely after.
Yeah, you're doing okay. Also, do you guys remember? I can't remember the guy's name. The guy that got the penalty at the very end for Georgia.
No,
I don't know if you. I can't remember his name. But anyways,
you remember what he was?
I don't. But I remember he was the guy that did the cap flip from Tennessee to Georgia. So it's like the guy that got Tennessee. He did the switch on the recruiting thing, and so then it's just like this. this combination of little things that happened because Evan Berry at the time was the best kick returner we'd seen in college football for a little while.
Yeah.
And you're like, holy dude, you're going to give Evan Berry a chance because you had to kick it to him because it was the 15-yard penalty. And I was like, all right. And then he gets it out to the 45 or whatever it was. And then magic happened.
Yeah.
But that was the last time. So we
Yeah.
went into a little history for everybody. If you have not watched that game as a Tennessee fan, you need to relive some glory, and hopefully we find it this weekend.
Would you guys like to know what the average point total for Tennessee since 2017 is in this series?
I don't want to, but I'm sure people would.
I know that they haven't scored more than a certain number, but I'm not going to spoil your
13 points a game is the average score total.
It's actually higher than I thought because I was like, I guess we had 17 points last year, and then
And in Josh's 4 years, it's 4 years, right?
Mhm.
He scored 40 points or more in I think 52% of his games.
Yeah,
as a head coach.
Even the 2022 year, you're like, man, this offense is unstoppable.
Yeah.
Sure was.
I'll never
Sure
forget
was
it.
stoppable.
I'll never forget it.
That was a safety. I'm just gonna say it. Like, I don't know what we were doing as far as like replay, but that was a safety. That dude did not make it out of the end zone in that game. Like, sorry,
It's okay.
not gonna dwell on past
Past transgressions.
Yeah. So,
all right, let's talk 2025. This is probably from a gambling perspective, if you will.
Mhm.
It feels like the closest game we've had since I don't know what 2022 was, but I'm sure it was really close.
I think 2022 was still a touchdown
Yeah,
because Georgia
really?
was at home.
It was minus
Georgia was
Oh,
at home.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's
people,
true.
I think if I remember correctly, y'all had gotten ranked number 1.
Yep.
No, yeah, I think it was like 9.5, and people were like, "What the hell is this? Why is it 9.5?" Because y'all had just come off like the Bama win, and y'all were putting up like 42 or 44 points a game or something like that.
Georgia was so good.
It's like, how the hell is Georgia favored by like almost double digits?
Yeah,
I think it ended up closing at like 7.5 or 8, but I think it was 9.5 when it first dropped.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, this is by far the closest it's been in a long, long time.
Yeah.
3.5 makes me feel weird. I'm still because we talked with Shumpert on Monday. It's like, dude, this is the exact same thing Tennessee did last year. Like, beat the hell out of some mediocre, subpar ACC team, and then you just beat the crap out of a middling SoCon team. Like, the exact same thing. So I'm so cautiously optimistic. But, I guess there's some pause with Georgia right now. Like, I don't know if that's offensively. Like, I guess that's where I'll start here is we talked about it, and Gunner is, lack of a better term, dad joke, gun shy right now in some cases. So, yes, everybody just hangs their head. You're welcome for dad joke of the day. But where do you feel like, Caleb? Where's he at right now? Do you feel like this is just, hey, we can play relatively vanilla? Gunner will take some swings this week because he has to.
I think Gunner's got to take shots this week. The big thing for him has been the debate is whether or not it's a Gunner Stockton issue through the first 2 games or it's a Mike Bobo issue through the first 2 games, because the offense has been super vanilla, and you kind of assumed that was going to be the case just because with your opponents, I mean, you're playing Marshall, you're like, these are just lesser teams that you don't have to show your cards, which has kind of been the nice thing. I think Tennessee maybe had to show a little bit more against Syracuse, but even for the Vols, like, they haven't had to show a whole lot so far. However, the reason why that argument of, well, Georgia's been vanilla and hasn't shown very much, the reason why that argument doesn't hold up very well when it comes to Gunner Stockton is because they've still taken shots and he's missed. And that's where you go, okay, you can have all of the running ability in the world. You can have all of the seniority in the world. You can have all of the team leadership in the world. And like, when I tell you guys that his teammates love him, they absolutely love this man, especially coming off of Carson Beck, because locker room vibes were weird with Carson Beck because he was kind of full of himself. he was talented. He knew he was talented, and I think he believed he's a little bit more talented than he actually was. And so going from that to a guy who literally drives in a 1990s Chevy pickup truck. He has 14 cows because he wears number 14 and his parents got him 14 cows for Christmas. Like, he is just simple. We literally, Allison Mastrangelo, Channel 2, 2 weeks ago, week 1 of the college football season, against Marshall, we get ready to talk to Gunner, and Allison goes, if any of you get Gunner to say more than 10 words in a row, I'll buy you a drink. And no one got a drink bought for them because he is that, like, shy and doesn't say a whole lot. So I think that there are plenty of intangibles to love Gunner, because I think he is he's got arm talent, he's got the leadership, he's got all the intangibles and all that sort of thing. It's been the decision making so far where he's pulled the ball and run when he absolutely should have found guys, and then when he has taken shots, he hasn't really connected on very much. And the times that he has, it's turned into touchdowns. But for the most part, it's been a whole lot of disappointment that obviously reached a head last week against Austin P, where you score 28 points against Austin P and you look pretty pedestrian.
Yeah, that's a team you just have to look pedestrian. But Joseph, what do you got?
As far as Gunner goes, man, I'm a little concerned. Mostly, not to kind of beat up on Caleb's points, but like the fact that he's turning down these shots. So it makes me think: is he just not like? Does he just not see them, or is he not comfortable, or is it a confidence issue? Is it because I think Mike's given him winners. I think he's given him shots. He's given him chances to hit guys downfield, and for whatever reason, he's just turned them down. And I know he can hit these throws because, like, watching him last year in the Texas game, where he has no intention of running out and playing, and then what happens to Carson happens to Carson, and all of a sudden Gunner's like thrust in this position, and he looks for the most part like he's ready to go out there and sling it. And so I know that version of him exists, but I just don't know why we haven't seen it yet. I'm not going to write it off as like he can't do it, but I'm just a little bit cautious because we saw him hit a deep shot in the Notre Dame game to Arian Smith.
Yep.
One of the few that Arian caught throughout the year. Sorry, Aaron, don't mean to take a shot at you, brother. But we've seen him be able to do it. I just got to see it again. And so I think Gunner, he fits very much of what Kirby wants at quarterback, where while he might not take these shots sometimes, and it's frustrating as a Georgia fan because you go back and you see these guys open in like the all-22, and he's choosing to like take the check down or run it. And while in these first two games, it's been nice because it's kept you on schedule and it's kept you out of like 3rd and 12, minus like a screenplay getting blown up. It's kept you out of 3rd and 12, 3rd and 10, 3rd and 8, and mostly kept you in like 3rd and 6 and manageable. But that, again, that's against Marshall and Austin P. So I think he's going to have to emerge a little bit this weekend if they want to win this game, especially if Tennessee lands shots early, because I think that you're going to try to. But something that's interesting that I didn't actually think about was pointed out is that the last 3 games in Neyland, Tennessee's held a lead.
Yeah.
In all those games. And they found a way back. And specifically last year, you held the lead 10-0. And Carson kind of had this, like, I don't want to say put the team on your back, but he had probably one of his best games of the year last year.
Yes.
To lead this team out of,
because he felt like he was a little questionable coming in.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just the whole Georgia, because that game was super late in the year last year. That was a November game.
Yeah.
So you knew a lot more about these teams, and you felt good about Tennessee's run game. Nico had been missing shots downfield, but like they've got Dylan Sampson, and Georgia just been so inconsistent. So to see them kind of like emerge with hitting the tight ends and Carson looking the way he did, I think that that's there for Gunner, but it's one thing to think it and it's another thing to actually see it. So they're probably going to try to win this game on run game and defense because I do think the defense is better than they were last year. And this is probably going to be, again, correct me if I'm wrong here, but this will probably be far and away the most talented defense that Joey Aguilar's seen. And I think Kirby's going to, because he played Clemson last year with App State, but that Clemson defense, it's got some known names, but it's not the same as some of those Brett Venables Clemson defenses. So I'm thinking the plan here is run game defense for Kirby and Georgia. So I mean, I don't know if Gunner has to go out and necessarily sling it unless Tennessee is able to start fast like they want to.
They'll need to. Miggy?
I mean, when it comes down to Tennessee, there's 3 guys that I think this game is going to boil down to. The first one is going to be Mike Matthews. He's a Georgia boy that's in Tennessee just like me. Is Mike Matthews going to be able to be an elite receiver? This game reminds me of, and I'm showing my age here, but 2011, it was the Florida game. And Justin Hunter and all those boys were getting ready. Justin Hunter was like the focal point of the offense. He was outworldly. And he tore his ACL in that game. But prior to that, he was just doing just incredible stuff against Montana, and it was Cincinnati. But saying all this to say, it kind of defined what Tennessee was going to be. That Florida game. It was the 3rd game of the year. And I think that Mike Matthews is truly that one. And I want to see, like, all right, this weekend is going to tell me everything I need to know about Mike Matthews moving forward. Second is going to be the running back by the name of Star Thomas. I think he is Tennessee's pound for pound the best running back on the roster. I think he's better than Bishop. I think he's better than Peyton Lewis. I think Star Thomas is who you need to go and get the ball to if you want success and want to win. I think he has home run ability, and I just think he's the guy. And then last but not least, Boo Carter is going to have to either A, impact this game from special teams with a punt return for a touchdown or a kickoff return, or B, he's going to have to play out of his mind. He is the only person that can stop the person that I think is going to absolutely ruin this game for Tennessee, and that's Zachariah Branch. Nobody is more athletic on this team, pound for pound, than Boo Carter. If Boo has a bad day, it means Zachariah Branch is going for at least 125. And I think that is a very real possibility for all the Tennessee fans out there. Zachariah Branch is that dude, period.
Yeah, he's doing stuff off screen passes too. Like that's the big part is what's been so fun to see as a Georgia fan, and someone who's covered this team, and going from last year when everyone is dropping passes constantly to seeing Zachariah Branch catching screen passes and taking them to the house. And it's felt like everything thrown his way, he's been able to make a guy miss and turn into, just a bigger gain than it was intended. That's been what's so fun to see, just because Georgia's been missing that. I think obviously since it's the safety blanket aspect of things where Carson had Ladd McConkey, he had Brock Bowers that he could get the ball to, and then last year Carson didn't have that, and I think coming into this year it was everyone trying to figure out who are going to be those safety blankets for Gunner Stockton. I would have assumed Oscar Delp would be in that conversation. However, for the first time since I believe it was 2021, Georgia did not have a tight end catch a pass last week against Austin Peay. And so how much do the tight ends, Lawson Lucky and Oscar Delp come into play against Tennessee? Or, is that going to be the focus for the Vols defense, is to try to get, Zach out of this game plan and not involved? It's also going to be really interesting to see what the run game looks like, because, while you mentioned like the run game and the defense being the thing that's probably going to carry Georgia in this one, Their running back situation has been real weird because you came in being like, oh, well, Nate Frazier is the belle of the ball. Like, he's the guy who is going to get all of these touches, and he's just not necessarily turning them into a ton of yards. I think he's like somewhere around 4.5 yards a carry, but the one who has stuck out and hasn't gotten a lot of touches is Dwight Phillips Jr., a guy who my understanding was against Florida last year, they were wondering, is this guy going to stick around on the roster? There were conversations with Georgia coaching staff as to whether or not they were going to go to Dwight Phillips and be like, hey, you probably want to be looking to transfer somewhere. And they stuck with him. And he has turned into a guy who's got nearly 9 or 10 yards a carry so far with just a limited number of touches. So while we talk about Gunner, and the kind of the question marks around him, I think who he finds at receiver is going to be interesting, but also what does his running game look like, which could then take you into a bigger conversation because the offensive line is not necessarily shaky, but beaten up for sure. And you're going to get back, a big guy in an Ernest Green who's going to be available this week, but your big freshman guard on the right side, Juan Gaston, is still
Great
kind of
name.
questionable as to whether or not, he's going to be available. So it's like Tennessee could potentially feast on that right-hand side if things are shaky.
Yeah. First off, Gaston's such a great name.
Right.
Such a great name. Awesome. I was kind of talking. I know I was listening to you right there, and I was thinking of like who's somebody this weekend, because this is the Georgia primetime game. This is their first one. This is their first big boy. Who's somebody that we haven't heard a lot about yet on a Georgia roster? I know it's full of talent, but this isn't like the star-studded early names. Who are we going to hear about this weekend?
You want offense or defense?
Can you give me one of both?
Sure. So I just brought up Dwight Phillips Jr., so I wouldn't just like throw him in, but I do think he is going to be a name that people need to look out for because he seems to be, at least in my opinion, the more physical back, whereas Nate Frazier is going to be your speedy guy who's going to try to, bust a tackle and take it for, 40 plus yards if he gets that opportunity. I think otherwise, offensively, I probably would have gone to the tight end room. But the guy who I would have name dropped dealt with an injury last week. And so probably Talon Taylor, he's a freshman wide receiver who is surprisingly a guy that that Gunner has gone to quite a bit, especially early on, which has not been the case for like Gunner likes to find veteran receivers because you got Humphreys, that the old Vanderbilt transfer that he tried to find for a touchdown. I believe this was week 1 against Marshall, and Humphreys dropped it. And so he tends to feed the more veteran guys, but Talon Taylor has been a freshman that Gunner Stockton has some faith in because he's got some real talent being a true freshman. And so he's someone that I think can be a difference maker. And then the guy on defense, that it's funny because one of my buddies who is a cameraman for Channel 11 here in Atlanta shares the same name, but Chris Cole, this guy is a really speedy linebacker who is going to make things very difficult for Aguilar, I think, on Saturday, just because he's been able to get in the backfield and cause some hurries. He's got 1 sack, because that's the weird thing about Georgia. Through 2 weeks, I believe the Bulldogs have 3 sacks on defense, and one of those is like a team sack. So it's one of, like, you can't even, the Georgia defensive line of old that I've known to be so dominant and that has chosen to spit in some guys' faces and get suspended and that sort of thing.
Keep it classy down there, Athens.
Yeah, this version of the Georgia defense has been more classy, but I think they haven't been as big of difference makers, even though, like, individually, talent-wise, you see a CJ Allen and you're like, okay, well, that guy is going to be dominant. And I think that he is. Like, I think when people start looking at the tape, they see a guy like CJ Allen being everywhere. But I think Chris Cole is more of the name who could potentially make the big play. He's going to be the guy who could sack Aguilar, and get a strip, like that sort of the thing, who could hit a receiver and get him to fumble the ball. That sort of thing is because Cole just kind of flies everywhere on the field. But I feel like he really hasn't gotten the recognition that, guys of the past for the Dogs have kind of gotten. But that's all of these guys to some extent have been not nearly as discussed as times past.
Yeah, it really does feel like this Georgia team's kind of like packaged together. It's like they're just Georgia. There's you're gonna get Gunner takes and talks. Like that's a big thing, of course, because he's your quarterback. But
Yeah.
as a defense, like if you know ball, you know CJ's like probably first round automatic guy, but he's still late. It's not the name that most people are gonna know.
Yeah.
But for most people in college football right now, it's like a package together. Like you just know that defense is super talented. There's no names being thrown out there. There's no Jalen Carrs. There's no just like even for me, like one of my favorite players, despite him being a dog, Nakobe Dean was my favorite linebacker I've seen in I don't know how many years. Like, it was awesome to watch.
Oh yeah, he's a superstar.
Yeah.
I'm glad he was getting a little bit of run with the Eagles. So
Yeah.
Caleb, can I ask you, Dylan Bell, where is Dylan Bell? Because I expected you to say his name, and I looked him up. Where has he been for Georgia in 2025, man?
Non-existent, completely non-existent. He has been the, we grew up with the lost kid being on the milk carton, like that has been Dylan Bell this season. It was kind of going this way at the end of last year, because what I remember is doing sports radio in Atlanta and being so close to Athens and talking dogs and that sort of a thing. Dylan Bell was brought up in the conversation for people locally as a potential Heisman option at the start of last season because of what he had done previously. He was that versatile everywhere, was a running back, but they got injuries to the was a wide receiver, got injuries to the running back group. So he went back there and was able to swap between the two. And then last season, I felt like there was a ton of inconsistencies. Fumbles were a problem. Drop passes were a problem because that was a problem for all Georgia receivers. And I feel like he kind of fell out of favor with Kirby Smart, with Mike Bobo, with Carson Beck for that matter, because I just don't think they were going to him quite like they were before. Then you start off this season, and it's been just bizarre. It feels like a case of Kirby went to the transfer portal and he found guys like Branch, and then he went out and signed, some of these young freshmen like Taylor, and found guys who were better. And if you're not going to be that big difference maker, life's going to move on without you. Now, does that mean that he's going to be completely non-existent for the rest of the season? And me saying this, he'll go off for like 5 catches, against the Vols on Saturday or something. But I really do think he is just kind of fallen down the depth chart because guys have performed better, and Kirby's all about practice. And if he's not looking good in practice, then he's not going to get as many opportunities on game day.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, man.
KJ
Caleb.
Bolden is the other one too that if you go back defensively, is crazy that he is not being talked about more. Like he is going to be, because it's funny, you think about like a Malachi Starks who goes to the league and you're like, how are you going to replace that guy? KJ Bolden is the one who does that. He was a local guy, went to Grayson. Malcolm, you know about those boys.
I do know about him very well.
5-star, and has come in, and the leadership that he has taken on, stepped into as a freshman last year when I think the secondary was a bit weak and weird, especially around the Alabama game last year, that guys were pointing fingers at one another. Guys were literally transferring out after getting smoked, at times. And KJ Bolden was somebody who stepped up and is now, as a sophomore, I think he's not getting talked about as much because he's not coming out. And so, he's not like a draft prospect or anything like that. But once we are at this point next year, I think he is going to be way, 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 way up on people's draft boards. I don't feel like it's hot takey to say top 15 pick that KJ Bolden could probably be next year.
Damn.
Yeah, he feels like Malachi 2.0.
Yes,
Really?
very much so.
Yeah. Because watching Malachi last year, it felt like Malachi had a down year last year, and we had talked about it, not to rehash that, but kind of felt like he didn't have as much trust in the guys around him in the secondary. So Malachi felt like he had to do more.
Yes.
But yeah, KJ's really stepped up as a leader in the secondary, and I think this year he won't have that same problem Malachi had last year. Because I'm glad you brought up the secondary, Caleb, because I wanted to talk about specifically the matchup that I think is kind of a strength for Georgia, and that's these corners that I know Kirby and them feel like are probably NFL corners in Dalen and Daniel Harris and Ellis Robinson and DeMello Jones versus these Tennessee receivers. I'm worried about Jonell Aguero on Mike in the slot. That seems to be a identified potential attacking area. But I feel like if you're Kirby and this defensive staff, you feel like you have some confidence going in one-on-one scenarios with Dalen and Daniel Harris and Ellis Robinson versus like Chris Brazzell. So kind of talk about a little bit how you feel about the secondary as a whole versus this receiver unit.
Yeah, I think it's one like sometimes Georgia fans people fall out of favor, I would say, with fans. And obviously, I'm sure Tennessee has the same sort of thing when a particular player gets torched because they're in a one-on-one matchup and they just get beat and it ends up in a touchdown, especially when one like the Alabama game is the one that kind of sticks out to me where you get those opportunities and then you get beat and I'm in one corner of the end zone where I'm thinking I'm witnessing the Georgia comeback, and we see that to some extent. And then it just how quickly the Crimson Tide went back and scored on the other end before obviously Carson eventually throws an interception to end it. But I think Dalen Everett was a name that got thrown out as like, I don't know that we should have faith in that guy. Even though like the measurables are there and I think the vision is there for him. Then he comes into this year and a little bit banged up, injury situations a little bit questionable as to how healthy he is necessarily. But I think this game is really kind of that prove it opportunity or that reminder for a lot of people. I think you mentioned Aguero there that, yeah, he's more of the one that I think has had some flashier moments in the past, but as can happen, you think about the quarterback situation who can guy has a big arm and throws, touchdowns, but sometimes the other decision-making skills aren't always there and not as a little too the riskiness, the risk adverse issues are definitely there, I think, for Aguero. So I still feel good about this Georgia secondary, much, much better than I did a year ago, because I think Kyron Jones, opposite KJ Bolden, as a safety, Jones was a guy that wasn't getting opportunities to play early on. And so very much could have gone and transferred and gotten that opportunity, but he stuck around, is getting that now with Georgia. And I think he was a bright spot against Austin Peay. And so having that in the secondary, knowing a lot of man is going to get played is a side of the ball that I feel really good about. Can they still get run over because of one-on-one opportunities? Yeah. But that's honestly, that area is where I'm very interested to see them and how they look against Joey Aguilar, because as you guys I'm sure knew when this whole trade happened and you guys end up with Aguilar instead of Nico, is the man led the FBS in interceptions last year at App State, and hasn't turned the ball over, and seems like it's got to happen this week, right?
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
I hope so, but I'm not sorry.
Yeah. It
Um,
feels like with the ball
Yeah.
hawks that Georgia has, and I mean, and that like the one thing that does concern me but then in the same respect gives me some confidence in the secondary is I think there are some of these guys like Everett who are looking for those prove it opportunities, who are going to take some chances because they know Aguilar can cough up the football.
Yeah, and I think I'm glad you brought up Dalen because he was somebody that not last year, but the year before last, when he was opposite like Keely Ringo, he was one of those guys that had fallen out of favor with me.
Yes.
And I was like, dude, Dalen, he can't do this. We got to get him out of there. He's going to get cooked. And then turn around to next year, and it's like, oh, he's single handedly like one of the reasons we beat Texas twice. Okay, yeah. So he was one of those corners that came back in favor for me. But yeah, it's fun to see. Shout out Kyron out there playing with a club on his hand,
Yeah.
dude.
I think it came off this week.
Good.
Yeah.
Because I know they were giving him some burn. They were giving Zion Branch and Ja'Cory Thomas a little bit of burn also at that opposite safety position of KJ. So it seems like they've got bodies they feel good to rotate in, which is always a good thing if you're a defensive staff feeling good about your twos that you can rotate in. Talk to me a little bit about, because we know Tennessee wants to run the football. Like, we know that's a critical part of them setting up these shots, setting up this passing game, opening it up. Talk to me a little bit about how you feel about the D-line with Kristen Miller and Jordan Hall and a guy that I've heard has come on and while I'm still going to pause, there's been some rumors about Jalen Carter comparisons. I am not going to go there yet. Elijah Griffin seems to be a guy that they feel really confident in on the D-line in the early snaps that he's got this year. So talk to me a little bit how you feel about the run game matchup for
Yeah,
Georgia versus Tennessee.
it's funny because as you meant, like it's coming from younger guys. I think I saw something just earlier this week that talked about the fact that over half of Georgia's team is first or second year players, which just hasn't happened in the past. But obviously, as we are in a different era of college football, that affects the defensive line. And the thing that Georgia has had in the past, apart from the dogs that go on to the league that do spit on quarterbacks and get ejected, is that like they've had depth, and that's been a thing. Is they've been able to rotate through a lot of bodies, and so now seeing that rotation come from freshmen, and they're making the impact as well as you're gonna get the Christian Millers because they kind of stick out. The It's different. I think it really is different. It's been a bit of a work in progress, I think, through the first 2 weeks, because that's another area where against lesser competition, it's really hard to be able to tell because they're not getting sacks, but they're getting a ton of pressures, and they're keeping teams from being able to consistently run the ball. And that's like with Tennessee, I think Tennessee is going to struggle to run the football against Georgia's defense, and that like where they will be able to kind of feast or famine is on the arm of Aguilar, and that's just because like the names that you mentioned there are certainly and I always butcher his last name, Jonah.
Oh, Joseph Jonah
Ajayi?
Ajayi. I think so. Yeah,
Yeah,
Joseph Jonah Ajayi
Ew.
and
yeah.
JJ
I'm
Hane is another guy that they've got some good burn on the D line with.
Yeah. So I'm terrible with names, but like when you are sending multiple 6'7", 365 out there, like these are giants. It is very weird too when seeing some of these guys. You like I'm close to the locker room post game, and so none of the like younger freshmen talk or anything, but just seeing them walk past you, and you're like, "How are you 19 years old?" Like, someone have him pee in a cup right now because there's some illegal substance. It feels like, but like these guys are just built different now, and I think that this is the part where The names aren't there, but a Tennessee game where if you could get, a freshman to have a big game, Xavier McLeod is also one that just does not get
he's a
talked
name that
about
kind of
nearly
slides under
enough.
the radar.
Yeah. But having a big game against Tennessee all of a sudden shifts the conversation, and you'll get talked about a lot more if you, if you're putting Aguilar on his backside a bunch.
Yeah, this is a game that'll have a lot to say for star power for your guys. I feel like, when you're in it, like I'm sure you feel like, well, these guys are getting a lot of credit inside of, the state of Georgia and around that area. But it's also like, if you're not really a heavy SEC guy, you're not hearing a lot of this. You're not hearing a lot of names. I think Joey football and all that stuff kind of catches on for Tennessee. And then, being in it, I'm like, well, everybody knows who these guys are. But then you talk to people outside of your little realm. You're like, oh,
Yep.
Nobody knows who Star is. Nobody can tell you. So it's funny, like, listen, because we're like, man, hundreds of thousands, if not a few million people love this stuff, and they know who these guys are. That's not a big place in this world. So it's cool to hear like that these guys might be having a week, and you change your life. You can change your life this weekend, both sides. Let's get to some picks. We'll go ahead and pick. Y'all want to go ahead and pick the Tennessee Georgia
I was
game?
about to say, y'all got any final questions or?
No.
All right, let's talk.
No.
Let's talk small.
Okay.
Let's make some picks. Does anybody want to go first?
I'll go first.
Do it.
Yeah. All right.
Do you want to give a score prediction on this one?
I will. Yeah. I'll give a score.
You want to do that one? Let's do it. Let's go hardcore on it.
Yeah. I'll give score prediction.
All right, let's do it.
So if you would have asked me about this game if we would have predicted this game on Tuesday, which I know we talked with Shump about it, I was fully prepared to pick Tennessee. I had kind of gotten in this realm in my mind where I was like, well, it's been 8 years. I was like, Florida lost last week. West Virginia lost last week. That shifted College game day. Okay. College game day is going to Knoxville now. All right. They're going to be really, really riled up. Okay. Gunners kind of made me nervous a little bit. I was fully on ready to pick Tennessee. And then throughout the week, I kind of thought about this game more. And I thought about kind of how I feel about the way that Georgia plays defense versus the way that Josh wants his offense to run. And I started thinking in my head, I kind of feel good about a lot of these matchups. I think Georgia will be able to match up well with the receivers. I think they'll be able to stop the run. And I think they'll be able to rotate bodies. So I got to thinking to myself, okay, what's the big problem? What's my biggest worry? Gunner. Okay, why am I worried about Gunner? Gunner's turning down opportunities. Okay, but he's not turning the ball over. So he's not putting the offense and he's not putting the defense in horrible situations. So I feel good about that. So all of those factors mixed together, also with the fact that it's still Kirby. Ultimately, I'm going to pick Georgia. I don't think this game is going to look like any of the last 8 games. I don't think this game is going to be one of those where you go into the second half and you're like, well, Kirby and then did it again. Game's over. I think this is going to be a battle for 4 quarters. I think it's going to be a fight. Ultimately, I ended up picking Georgia to win like 21-17. I think it's going to be really low scoring. And I think a lot of that's going to play into the fact that the style that Kirby wants to play in this game, mixing with the fact that Gunner's going to turn down opportunities, means that Georgia might end up holding the ball. And I don't think this is a good defense for Joey to get his first SEC start against. With the different mixes, the different looks, and how they were able to attack and what they were able to do to Hendon in 22, I think they'll be able to do some of that against Joey. So give me the Dogs. Give me it low scoring. And I think the current line sits at 4.5, so that would be Tennessee covering 21-17.
Ugh. Caleb, we're gonna let you go. We'll
Okay.
do this golf style. Let the winners go first.
Look, I think this is going to be Georgia's toughest test, obviously. Getting Tennessee this early on is super weird to me, and I looked it up earlier because I was like, I can't remember a year in which this early in the year Georgia's taken on Tennessee. It was 1995 was the last time it was this early in the season. It feels like Georgia is due for a loss because of how long it's been. Something just tells me, though, that this version of Georgia's defense gets to kind of lick their chops, get this opportunity to go after, Josh Heupel's offense one more time. And so I think Joey Aguilar probably throws his first interception in this game. I think the ball is going to hit the ground. And so for all of that, I think this gives an early opportunity for Georgia to get on the board and maybe calm down Gunner Stockton. I think Mike Bobo in the first sequence is going to call for a shot for Gunner to throw the deep ball. And if he's comfortable early, I like where this offense could potentially go. I do think in the same respect, depending on, because I know Tennessee's got some issues at corner right now with guys being injured. So I'm kind of curious how that plays out. Does Gunner throw his first interception because he kind of tests it a little bit too much? Ultimately, I'm picking Georgia to win in this one. I know it's very homer and all of that sort of thing. I like the 17 from Tennessee because I do think they'll get the opportunity to score on the Dogs, maybe like a touchdown in the first quarter, and then maybe feel like they're closing the gap there in the third quarter and get another touchdown. But I like Georgia's offense a little bit more to get on the board. I mentioned Dwight Phillips Jr. earlier. Nate Frazier still, even though he's not getting the yards per carry necessarily, he's going to get a ton of touches. And if Georgia's right side of the offensive line isn't a problem and isn't a turnstile, like could potentially happen if Ernest Green isn't able to go and Gaston isn't able to go. But I do think those guys are going to be able to play, which will shore up that side of the line. And so I think Georgia's going to be able to score some points. So I'm going 31-17 Dogs over the Vols.
Yeah. I will say this. This really might be a battle of quarterbacks, and it's going to look very different. I think Joey's going to struggle. I think this is no doubt about it. This is a 1 to 2 turnover game for Joey. I feel like there's almost no way around it. Like it almost feels like a guarantee, whether it's a pick or it's a fumble. Like it's coming, man. This defense is too good. They've not faced anything like it. He really struggles against good defenses or D1 like big time power 4 defenses. It's been noted. I really think this defense holds up for Tennessee for a while. I think they're going to cause Gunner some problems. I just can't get over the fact that we are down our top 2 cornerbacks. I think this might be a situation. I think this defense, and I think this defensive staff has been like, dude, they got us hard last year. They ate us alive, and it's gotten to him so poorly. And so I think it's going to be a thing where he's going to try to scheme up everything, but I think it's just a death by 100 jabs type of situation where I can't trust Ty Redmond against Talon. I can't. You guys are going to find mismatches. I don't believe in Gunner to just tear us apart, but whenever you're down to facing your third and fourth corner, which I think Colton Hood's become a really good player for Tennessee. I think he is like, I'm sure me and me, you're talking about, he does feel like at least a very solid starting corner in the SEC. Like we're like, dude, man, we get our 2 starting corners back, plus that's our third. That's where it sucks getting us this time of the year. Like that's where it sucks because man, it's like, God, we could have gotten that. I would rather have Alabama right now. It's like I'd rather switch that game so we play you guys later, hopefully fully healthy. I just can't get over it, man. I think Joey's going to cause some problems. I think there's a way that they're score. I think the script's going to come out really nicely. I think it's going to be. I think Bobo and Heupel and the whole staff's going to be like, hey, we're going to this early script. I think both teams score, and we're like, dude, we might be in for freaking back and forth today. I think it stalls out. I think it's just going to be. I'm with you. I think it's very close to I think it's probably 27-17, Georgia. I just can't get over the fact that these corners, and maybe Mike Matthews is the guy, but we got some. To me, I think they're very mediocre SEC wide receivers right now, and that's okay. I mean, it's solid, and you're going to get schemed up, and I just don't see how we do it because Georgia's done a good job against our run offense for the last forever. So it's like I can't get over that. I think these are really, really talented guys on Tennessee's offense. Kirby's just got our number, and it's like you guys in Florida, man. Until we do it, I can't pick it, and I want to so bad. I've tried to be Homer this week. I've desperately reached down in the depths of my Knoxville days, and I just can't find it. 27-17, Georgia Bulldogs, unfortunately. Malcolm Harris, bring us around, bro.
Yeah. The reason I fell in love with Tennessee football was a date in October 2007. It was my first Tennessee game. I saw Georgia legendary quarterback Matthew Stafford in Neyland Stadium. My dad got us tickets, and we were in the cheap seats. And it was the best day of my life because we went up on that more talented, more physical, more star-studded, had no Sean Marino, and Tennessee went up in that game and beat a ranked Georgia team at that time, coached by Mark Richt, 35-14. Took a 28-0 lead on the Georgia Bulldogs. My first Tennessee game ever. I fell in love with them, and I'm going to ride with them. I'm going with the Tennessee Vols for a couple of reasons. For one, Josh Heupel does not lose in Neyland Stadium. And when he does, it is because there is a superior team playing him. I know Georgia is more talented, but I do not think that it is that far off this year from a talent and depth standpoint. Yes, we are missing a lot of pieces, Tennessee is. But also, I saw the eye test last week. I was watching that game against Austin Peay. There is some issues at Georgia that I think that we can expose defensively. I will say Tim Banks, this is the game of the season right here, right now. Because the thing is, if you don't get Georgia right now, with the way scheduling is happening, we more than likely as a Tennessee fan base won't see Georgia for the next 3 years. Recruiting, that is detrimental. We will not have another Tennessee Georgia game for at least 3 years. Therefore, I think that the time is right now, and I will be in the building. I'm going to the Georgia Tennessee game. So with that being said, I am taking the Tennessee Vols 27-20. Give me the Vols by 7. I think Joey is going to make some mistakes, but I think Gunner is absolutely going to make some critical mistakes down the road. And I don't know. I just have a feeling. It's weird. And the money never lies when it comes to Vegas. This line movement from 8 to 7
That's where it gets me. I'm like, God, bum, what is happening?
to 3.5 to now 4.5. Something smells fishy. And a lot of people, if you're smart, you would just throw the house on Georgia and make a quick buck. But nothing is free in Vegas. Nothing at all is free in Vegas.
I want to see where the money is on Saturday. I'd love to see where all of the percentage is.
Well, also, like, to get in you guys' head, I mean, what does it feel like to be the underdog that everyone is picking? Because that's the part that, like, I've been in this position, covering the Hawks, of all of a sudden this offseason goes in the direction it has, and everyone's picking the Hawks to be a whole lot better than they have been. And it's weird. So, like, I've seen all of the articles getting written this week, and I would expect when, the college game day set comes around, that it could potentially be more in favor of Tennessee instead of Georgia, because I think people are looking for that upset opportunity. Like, what's it like for you guys of seeing the national conversation with a lot of guys penciling this one as this is the upset opportunity?
I mean,
go ahead, bro.
Go ahead.
No, please go.
I feel like this is a moment where there's too many well, Tennessee's my dark horse of the week. It's like,
Yeah.
well, no shit, dude. You and everybody else. Yeah. You and 75% of the country right now. It's like, dude,
Yeah.
I hate it. I think that's what I hate is like when the dogs get overpicked like this, no pun intended for that side. But when the underdog gets picked in this spot too often, it's like, man. But the line movement does get me because he's like,
Yeah,
I think that's
sure.
one of the weird things. Like we're in the space we're in. I think bettors are getting smarter in some cases, but I think Vegas is getting smarter all at the same time. Like I think there's going to be back and forth. Like, hey, this year we gotta actually watch some games, and they get you, and then next year Vegas is going to beat the hell out of us, and it's just like a back and forth. But I also think the public, there's a lot of smart dudes watch a lot of ball, and they go 52%, and then there's some Joe Schmo that's batting 65, 70. You're like, well, like is the public smarter than we think? But it's like no, you got a couple right and cherry pick. But it's like, dude, I hate this spot because it does feel like this should be the year. And you mentioned it, Miggy, like 3 years from now, like if you can't slay this dragon now, God bless the only place we can do it's in Atlanta.
Yeah, like
We don't
that's
even get that in the regular season every year now. This sucks.
Be a hell
that's
of an
an
SEC
issue.
championship, though.
Huh?
So there'd be a hell of an SEC championship, though.
Yeah. Short drive for everybody.
Short drive for everybody. I just again, just looking at that movement is weird, and yeah, being the underdog and being picked is crazy. But like, y'all make no mistake, I know who's on that sideline. The days of Mark Richt are gone. Kirby Smart is. I mean, we haven't used our one F-bomb. He's a fucking G. Like Kirby Smart. If I had a son that was playing football at the highest level possible in high school, he's going to play for Kirby Smart. Make no mistake. So I I I'm terrified for Saturday because I know Kirby always figures it out when it comes to Tennessee. You remember Jake Fromm singing Rocky Top and whistling? Jake Fromm never lost to Georgia. I mean, he never lost to Tennessee ever. Like it was very, very bad. It was ugly. Like
Gross.
You know what Jake Fromm's doing now?
what's he doing?
He's selling insurance, not with State Farm, and also making local TV appearances with Atlanta News First. He's doing a little sports talk, but also mainly his main source of revenue is selling insurance.
I thought that brother was going to be NFL. I mean, he
Yeah,
he must have hated
Yeah.
Tennessee, bro.
Yeah.
hated Tennessee.
I got one last thought on this game, but it feels like a lot of that public money, because I think the line opened at what, 7.5, 8.5,
Yeah, I think so.
and then within like 2 days it was down to 3.5. And this is just me personally. It feels like a lot of that public money is box score watching that Austin Peay game, because this 2022 Georgia game, or this 2022 Georgia team that went 15-0, I remember distinctly went out and stunk it up against Kent State. Gave up like 22 points, gave up a bunch of explosive plays, and then ended up getting it figured out. They just had what was the worst day imaginable. And I think something that's lost in that Austin Peay game is you have Nate that fumbles a ball, and you got London Humphreys that fumbles a ball. And I think if those two things don't happen and that scores 42-6, no one's even batting an eye. But mix those in with the goal line, and people are like, "Oh, is Georgia a lot?" It just feels like classic Kirby Smart to me.
A goal line stand that also, like as we mentioned earlier, like was missing your right side. You were rotating guys.
Yeah, and would have been a surefire touchdown, but Gunner threw a ball a little bit too far behind Zach.
Yeah,
I think it just feels like it feels very similar to that 2022 Kent State game where people were like, "What happened to Georgia?" And I'm like, it's exactly what Kirby wants you to think. Is this something happened to Georgia? And I don't know. That's where my gut's at, is that people, they saw that 28-6. They saw Joel Klatt talking about, well, Gunner had to throw 34 passes for Georgia to beat Austin Peay. It's like, that's not really how this game went. And that to me,
2 hour
feels like,
halftime.
yeah.
Yeah.
That feels like a lot of where
weird.
that public money's coming from.
100%.
So.
And it does feel a little bit where I think they're just going to get creative with the Gunner on the ground, and they're going to get us out wide. And
Yeah.
I think that's also a spot, and I guess it's kind of where I was going with my corner stuff is like, you also remember McCoy was a pretty good tackler too, man. So that's
Oh, yeah.
somebody like you're losing on the edge. Like these wide receivers are going to block for Georgia. And if you're Ty Redmond, you can't get off a block today. It's like, dude, they're gonna just pick you apart out there, whether that's out wide stuff or getting weird little swings, or even if it's just like the scrambles. Like, I mean, he is a guy they're gonna roll out a little bit, and they're just good, but he's also somebody that just take off that tackle and say, see you bye. And if you don't have anybody that can make a tackle, it's another 5-6 yards he's gonna get on every play. And I'm like, daggum, dude. I'm just worried. I'm just worried about like those edges are now very open. Zachariah Branch is a monster. I'm excited. I think Drew made a good point on Monday. Boo Carter may get a lot of playing time this week because he's the only athlete we got that can compete with Zachariah Branch. And that's saying something. This is a really talented Tennessee team on secondary some places, but Boo Carter's going to have to play.
He's gonna have to play. He's gonna have to play. He's gonna have to be. I mean, this is the time. If you want to be legendary, I mean, this is it. I mean, I like the matchup on Saturday, but of course, I'm not naive. But I'm sticking with my guys. I'm going Tennessee.
Love it. All right, you want to stay in Georgia?
Let's do
I
it.
was gonna say we hit about hour 10, so you want to kind of do like lightning round?
Yeah,
for the core four games?
I knew we'd go a little long, but here let's
that's
hammer
fine.
these out. Clemson, Georgia Tech. Whoa. Clemson these last couple of weeks, boys. Questionable. I'll start here. I really, really want this for Georgia Tech. I really do. I think Haynes King's a star. I think he's like a great example of these 24-year-olds still playing college football. Like, dude's just been beat to hell. I think this being in Atlanta at noon really sucks, though. I think we're all going to be pissed about this game. I think Clemson's defense is going to show up. I think we might get like a 17-10 win out of this from Clemson, and it makes me so mad. I want this for Georgia Tech, but I think they're going to muck it up. We're going to be like, dude, this fucking Clemson team is not very good, but they're going to win these ball games that they kind of should, because Georgia Tech's the hero story. I love them. I think they still have a shot to go to the ACC championship, even if they lose this game. But give me Clemson 17-10, 20-10, something ugly, and I'm going to hate Dabo even more after this game.
Yeah, I think this is classic, head versus heart, where your heart's like, oh, come on. Brent Key's got to have these guys ready for this one. They have circled it on the calendar. It's been so over discussed in sports talk radio, and with this team going into the season of like, this is your, in some respects, national championship of like, if you win this game, man, the way that your season is going to look completely different is certainly, it could change things for them. I think they've got the defense to do it, quite honestly. Like that's the funny thing is I am super suspect on Cade Klubnik as a quarterback. I know a lot of people have fallen in love with him. I've put him as, a Heisman favorite coming into the season, all those sorts of things. And I think I don't trust his decision-making. And I don't know that their offensive weapons impress me that much. And I think Georgia Tech's defense has really kind of stepped up, especially on the defensive line, where Brent Key has brought in some guys like Bradford who get after the ball. I think offense is where Georgia Tech is going to struggle in this one. As much as people love Haynes King, I think part of the reason why he didn't play last week is because he gets banged up, because he puts himself in positions to really struggle. And so I'm with you. I think this is one where you look at it and Clemson wins by a field goal. Give me, I just it's going to frustrate me so much. So I'll say 2017, just because I think it's going to be really close. But yeah, I think Clemson coming back from whatever disaster that was last week gets the win.
You guys know what me and Dabo Swinney have in common. We're both out on Cade Klubnik. I'm completely out on Cade. He just can't do it, and I think Dabo realizes it. And with that being said, Ramblin' Wreck, Georgia Tech, 24-20. I think Haynes King was resting up for this, and I think they make a statement down in Atlanta.
This is by far the one that I have like the least confidence in, though. I'll say that because I there is like that superstar. I think a guy like Haynes could be, because he will be their offense. I think there is a chance that he could be that dog. He could be a killer.
Yeah, he's just he's a gamer, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, and they held him out last week so he could heal up for this game.
Yeah.
it's time to go. Yeah,
Um,
you got your one shot.
Yeah, similar to like the Georgia Tennessee game preseason, though, I was like kind of in on Georgia Tech to get this game because I thought Clemson would be in a much different spot. I think the first 2 weeks were the worst thing that could have happened for Georgia Tech for this game. I'm not saying I'm buying into Clemson. Like, I'm not buying back because I was really high on Clemson coming into the season, and that's kind of fallen off because just the lack of a run game has really, really put a lot of emphasis on Cade to be a guy. And I think that's where a lot of these people being out on Cade Klubnik has come from, is that he just it's on him because they're starting a converted wide receiver at running back, and their other option is a freshman at running back. So I hate the spot for where Clemson's at with Georgia Tech and Georgia Tech winning this game. So I'm rolling with Clemson because I think Clemson has to have this game because they got beat at home by LSU, and then they just almost embarrassed themselves last week versus Troy. So I don't feel great about it. Like you said, Chase, I don't have a whole lot of confidence because Clemson's going to have to make the most of every possession they get in this game because Georgia Tech's goal is going to be to shrink the game, hold the ball, get points. So I just think there's a bigger motivation factor for Clemson in this game. So I'm picking them. I don't feel good about it. Like 20-14 Clemson. I'm a little worried about Haynes already having to miss a game this early in the season. And plus, it hasn't completely left my mind how Clemson started that Colorado game. I know that's the first game of the season. So, you got a little bit of nerves. You're on the road, but they turned the ball over 3 times in the first 8 minutes. Luckily, they found a way to win that game. But I think if you turn in a performance like that against Clemson, it's not going to bode well for you. So give me Clemson to win 20-14. Yeah. Gross.
All right, Caleb, we'll start with you, buddy. We're gonna go. You want to go down to Florida, or you want to go up north?
Oh, this is in Baton Rouge.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't know why I said Florida, but yes, let's go. Let's go up north. Let's
do it.
Let's go Notre Dame, Texas A&M. Flip flop of a very weird game last year, week 1.
Yeah, this one feels weird.
That our opening night game.
That was the
yeah.
I think that was the Saturday night game last week.
Yeah. Because we had LSU and USC Sunday, and then that's right.
Yeah.
This was a fucking snoozer, dude. God, this is one of the worst games of the year.
It was so bad.
Everybody, we all stayed up. I remember us talking about it in the groups, like, God, this is a snooze fest, man.
I remember picking A&M.
Yes.
Sweet. This one feels like it's going to be a whole lot closer. Far more interesting, at least I think, in my opinion, because you're dealing with a quarterback who's got the experience, but maybe the talent is kind of all over the place, and then a quarterback for Notre Dame in Carr, who, man, dude just seems like he is going to be the next guy up that we're going to be talking a whole lot about. But the inexperience is there, and it's shown itself. And so I like Notre Dame over Texas A&M in this one, just because I don't know. I'm such a big believer in what that program has put together since last season, since the national championship. I know they got embarrassed, all that sort of thing. Had a lot of guys go to the NFL. I have a hard time believing that Jeremiah Love is going to be held to, I mean, what was it, like 33 yards or something like that? Like, it's just, it's not going to stay that way. And so I like CJ Carr. I like Jeremiah Love. And I like the Fighting Irish over the Aggies.
Malcolm?
Yeah, I mean, simple. I like Jeremiah Love, but I love Mike Elko. And Mike Elko always has his boys ready. I've never seen a game that Mike Elko has coached at A&M where they didn't give effort, heart, and hustle. So give me A&M And I think this team goes as far as Marcel Reed takes them. I think he has been erratic as a passer, but he is just such an athlete, and those show up in the biggest moments. So give me A&M by a field goal. This is going to be a barn burner, bro.
Yeah, I'll go here. Let's do. I'm flip flopping here. Give me the Aggies. Give me the Aggies on the road. I think we're going to have back-to-back road wins for this matchup. I think this is going to be a fun one to watch. I think Marcel Reed gets a lot of love after this game. I think he is erratic, dude. He is like
right. It's crazy,
so
bro.
talented, but he is like, dude, I can't watch this. It's got a little crazy, you know. It's like, you know, you got your boy, but it's like, hey, he can't always perform. I think they got to do a lot. They got to do a better job on the ground. I think they're going to have to run more this week, but I just like the quarterback situation a little bit better. I think CJ's having to be conservative. I think they have a little bit of a blueprint from Miami of, hey, we got to make CJ be the guy. We got to do as much as we can and sell out on Love, sell out on that run game. Can they do it as much as a team like Miami? I don't know, but in my mind, I think Elko's been really good, and I think Elko gets this W.
Round us out, gentlemen. I'm with Caleb on this one. I'm taking the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, and for a couple of reasons. Go ahead, Caleb.
I was just gonna like the one thing that I think might be forgotten. And you might have been about to say it, so I'm sorry. They get extra time to plan for this game, so I feel like that
huge.
That is. This feels like not only just extra time. This feels like a season reset for me, for Notre Dame. It feels like, hey, we went down to Miami, didn't go our way. We were starting a freshman quarterback on the road, but CJ showed me some things in that game against what I think is probably going to be a better defensive line than A&M has. That he's willing to stand in there and he can make plays. I think Notre Dame will be able to have some kind of passing attack against Texas A&M's corners. One of those corners, sorry, dog, just happened to be the corner Julian Humphreys that gave up the long touchdown to Ryan Williams last year in the Georgia-Alabama game. Yeah, but I also think Notre Dame will be able to run the ball a little bit. I kind of feel like Notre Dame's defensive strategy is going to be able to load the box, caught that one. Load the box, stop Le'Veon Moss, stop Marcel Reed from running, because I feel like they're going to feel really good about their one-on-one matchups because Notre Dame loves to run man, and I feel like Marcus Freeman has confidence in his guys to be able to play. Went back and looked. Casey Concepcion has played Notre Dame once when he was at NC State. I know that was NC State. It's a bit of a different roster. He was also a freshman. He didn't do very well. So I'm leaning Notre Dame. I think Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price will just be able to have more success. And I think Notre Dame needs this game a lot more than A&M does, because I think if Notre Dame starts 0-2 and you look at the rest of the schedule, they don't really have a whole lot outside of like maybe we're waiting to see what USC is. We don't really know, but Texas A&M still has the whole SEC slate. So like,
yeah,
it's not a game that Mike Elko and them want to lose, and I really believe Mike Elko is going to ultimately be the guy at Texas A&M that gets that program right. But in this spot, after taking the L, having a week to recoup, I just like Notre Dame at home. So give me the Irish. Give me a similar score to last year, except maybe like 23-17 Notre Dame.
I was kind of thinking the same thing.
Yeah,
24. I can see something weird. 24-18.
I don't think it'll be very high scoring. And I think that plays into Notre Dame's strategy for this game. So give me the Irish.
All right. Last one, boys. Billy Napier has not fared well in the last couple of weeks on this podcast. I will say that we are not the biggest LSU fans coming into the season that may have flip-flopped. These two teams have highly confused me. We have Florida going down to LSU, and the biggest bet of the week is, does Billy Napier come back from Baton Rouge on the flight with the Florida Gators? I do not know. I have wholeheartedly believed all week that this is an LSU beatdown, and I'm still holding to it. I think LSU beats the holy hell out of them guys. I think this might be like 42-21. I think LSU run rolls them. I think we call off the Dogs pretty late. It's like 10 o'clock, and you know what? I'm like, I'm going to bed. Goodbye. Don't need to watch anymore. Been fun, but ain't been real fun. Billy Napier ain't coming home. Billy Napier's gone out of the SEC. He should probably just drive right over back to Louisiana. Joseph dropped that one on. I was like, I loved it this week. It's just he needs to stay right there and stay in Louisiana and just see if he can go back to be a Raging Cajun. LSU rolls this week. Whoever wants it.
I'll take it. Because I can pretty much just echo your sentiments. I think 41-10. Like I would go in that. I think it's going to be that bad. Look, I am not a Brian Kelly fan, but I think this version of the LSU Tigers are potentially we could be watching them in the SEC championship. Just because I'm that big of a believer in Nussmeier. Maybe not necessarily as a pro, but for his abilities in college. I think rebound season for Hale Perkins Jr. And just what that defense is going to do to DJ Lagway, who I think has a lot of raw talent, but as we're seeing with the guy that came before him, who didn't fare so well with the Indianapolis Colts and Anthony Richardson, I think there's a lot of talent there, but I think what he does with that talent is way too erratic. And I know everyone's going to be picking this potentially because of Napier's job being on the line after the USF stuff. But I don't think that Napier is going home to Jacksonville after this one, because I think it ends in a blowout. And this is actually a game that later on down the line, when Georgia faces them in October in Jacksonville, that has me concerned, because I think that could be a trap game for the Dogs later on down the line. But I think for LSU right now, I think they roll.
I legit feel bad for Billy. Nah, I'm just playing. I don't, man. They're facing the gauntlet.
Not even a little bit.
They're not gonna fire him because they have number 5 and then number 7 coming up. So it's like a 3-week gauntlet.
That's right.
From hell.
Yeah.
So they can't fire him. But Whit Weeks is going to be in this man's dreams, because he's going to look like Brian Cushing when he was on steroids with the Houston Texans.
Yeah,
this is about to get ugly, bro. Give me LSU 35-17. I think that they're going to come out early, and Florida is going to fight like nobody's business. But it's just not good enough. It's just not. I think Nuss is going to have an incredible day, and I think that LSU is going to roll.
No throwing shoes this time?
Nah, there's going to be some weird thrown. There's something weird is going to happen, and it's LSU.
Do we have another spitting? Do we have another spit fest?
I mean, Florida lacks discipline. It wouldn't shock me.
Yeah.
Wouldn't shock me. Finish this. Bring us home, Joseph.
Brother, by you, Billy. Calling Baton Rouge, man. Calling a taxi back to Baton Rouge, because I wanted to try to find a way with the position Florida's in, the back against the wall, but I think a lot of that stuff gets negated by just the way that this team has played and the penalties and then the play calling in big situations. I just don't know if Napier's going to be able to get it done. I don't feel great about Brian Kelly tooting his own horn after beating Clemson, in his comments about, well, maybe you didn't watch the second half. It's like, brother, you won your first season opener. Let's maybe chill just a little bit. You were 0-4 previously. Let's hang on now. But I think the way that they looked last week against, was it Louisiana Tech?
Yeah.
Doesn't help, because they just looked sloppy after the Clemson game. So now LSU's coming out fired up, looking to prove that. Last year, they're getting their get back. Florida got them at home. I worry about what Blake Baker's going to do to DJ Lagway. I have a lot of confidence in DJ as a player. I think he'll be really good. I think he just needs to stay healthy long enough to go through a full spring and a full summer and get all these fall camp reps, so he doesn't have to get these reps he should have been getting in live action against South Florida and now LSU and next week against Miami. I think LSU wins, and I think they win big. Give me LSU like 34-14. I'm hoping that Billy will learn from his mistakes last week as I try to preserve my voice because it feels like it's going out on me. And I called him Jordan Baugh. My apologies. It's Jaden Baugh, who was just, it was egregious that you stopped handing him the ball. I don't know why they did that. But if you do that against South Florida in a game that you're literally like looking at the rest of your schedule, just trying to survive, win in advance, and you couldn't even do that, I don't know how you're going to survive night in Death Valley because that place is going to be wild, dude. It's going to be.
This is blood in the water.
Yeah, this is LSU's going to be hunting. Blake Baker's going to be hunting, and I don't think it's going to be good for Florida. So give me LSU a lot to a little. You know,
Yeah,
I said,
that's all you need.
Yeah, give me LSU to cover the 9.5, dude. Because I don't know. I don't. You couldn't lose last week. You couldn't. And I think if, again, contributing to the score, if Florida comes out and they get popped early, I think it's really going to get ugly. Like if you're looking up in the second quarter and it's 21-3 LSU, I'm worried about Florida just packing it in.
Yeah.
And being like, you know what, guys, like coach probably not going to survive. I'm going to start fielding transfer portal calls.
You're thinking about your next stop.
Yeah, you know, we'll see Jaden Baugh in Miami next year or in a Crimson Tide uniform. So
yeah, because those calls have already been made.
Yeah,
the initial call, the initial contact is like, well, you know,
yeah.
Golish reached out to me.
Yeah, well, I mean, Florida probably reached out to Golish about, hey, why don't you just stay and live in Gainesville? You know,
yeah, you should just drive right up. Your kids don't even have to leave their school right now.
That'd be my worst nightmare.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I wanted to find a reason to pick Florida, and I just can't. I'm gonna stop.
I can't dig into it.
I think LSU wins, and I think LSU wins going away.
Yeah.
So,
well, Caleb, thanks for sticking around for an hour and how long?
Hour and a half.
Hour and 31 minutes and 42 seconds, buddy. We appreciate you, big dog. You are crushing it. Where can the people find you?
You can find me on social media, ATL Johnson 18, and then I host a show on the weekends on 92.9 The Game called The Dopey Millennial Show because I myself very much a dopey millennial. And it's fun to get to talk sports, even when this particular weekend I might be doing it during the Georgia-Tennessee game, but that's okay.
Tough timing. Tough timing when you're on Saturday. All right. Malcolm Harris, Joseph Guthrie, myself, Chase Green. Missed the boys tonight. G and Drew are on leave. They sent their PTO hours in today. So
they sure did.
Sent their PTO hours in. Like and subscribe to Chatt It Up Sports. Thank you again, Caleb. You're the man. Go Vols. I'm cautiously optimistic.
Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
Ball for life.